on that note, Jeff, we build a feedback loop within the quiz. So through the funnel, every action someone takes or every inaction someone takes, there's a pop-up one question survey.
Welcome to Digital Dominance. I went from building HTML websites in high school to helping 7- and 8-figure service businesses generate more revenue through better design, SEO, and marketing. On this podcast, I bring you expert tactics and tools to help you turn your online presence into your biggest sales asset. If you want someone on your team to help you navigate the world of digital marketing, head over to FroBro.com. If you're tired of chasing content calendars and praying that your next live launch will work, this episode might be your permission slip to try something different. My guest today is Alefia Karaki, a funnel strategist and founder of Nomads Marketing, where she builds high-converting quiz funnels for coaches, wellness professionals, and online creators. Her funnels don't just collect leads. They spark conversations, segment your audience, and convert 7 out of 10 prospects into your world. Oh, and she built her entire 6-figure business without a website, which is kind of crazy. So today we're going to talk about what a quiz funnel what actually makes it work, and how to automate trust at scale, and why niching down, even when it's scary, is the key to long-term success. So welcome to the show, Alefia.
Thank you. Thank you for that amazing intro. I'm wondering, where did you get all of that? Because that's so specific, and I didn't share my resources with you. So you've done your research.
The internet is great. And you did give me enough. You gave me some bio and things. You've got your LinkedIn profile. I could look at all these things. So, yeah, I like to do my research. But I am intrigued to talk with you today because, I mean, you're clearly very good at what you do. Everyone who's worked with you raves about you. And the quiz funnels are a little bit different than a lot of the traditional marketing advice. So I'm intrigued. And at the same time, I know when a person or company wants me to take a quiz, I often get annoyed. So especially if it's more than a couple questions long. So am I an exception here? Or is it possible to get someone like me to take a quiz and be happy about it?
I love that question. And you're the very first person who has ever come across in my 3 years of my career who said like they don't like taking a quiz. Everyone else is like, oh yeah, I love quizzes. But I think one reason why, Jeff, you're saying that is because in the B2B world, usually quizzes are disguised as surveys. It's basically like, how ready are you to commit to XYZ? Or
The
like, fill
pre-qualifying
out
me.
these. Yeah, they're just like pre-qualifying, which is not a quiz. It's a survey.
Mm-hmm.
So that distinction, even like Score app, if you like, I love the app, I love the software, but if you look at the quizzes built in Score app, it's usually pre-qualifying quizzes. Like just give me 10 questions and say yes, no, yes, no. Do you have a LinkedIn profile? Yes. Do you have a PR strategy? No. What are you adding value to the quiz taker on the back of that?
Gotcha. Okay, so it's the intention behind the questions is kind of what differentiates it between whether it's just a survey or an actual quiz.
Yes and no.
Okay, so give me a little bit more. How about let's broaden the question a little bit. What makes quiz funnels different from a typical lead magnet, like a checklist or a guide? Why are quizzes more effective?
Awesome. So there are three reasons why. And this, you want the short answer or the long one? um,
Let's start with the short answer.
the first reason is data. Like we started with funnels, generic funnels. So we tried email courses and webinars and everything. And quizzes consistently outperformed everything. Um, webinar, like, and not just by like little, like it's not like webinar had 30% and quiz had 34%. Webinar had 30%, quiz had 70%. So
It's a
then
big
it led
difference.
me to, yeah, analyzing like why is it working so well. And this is talking about our quizzes, like the ones we created at the agency, because we were also creating quizzes different to what was out in their market and there in the market.
Hmm.
So that's the first reason. The second reason led me to like, okay, like what's the story behind the data? The story behind the data was that uh, symptom aware versus problem aware. So I'll go a little deeper in this because half the time people don't understand when I say like symptom aware. Oh, where did
Hmm.
that come from? Like there's just supposed to be like 6 stages of awareness. It's as simple as you I I finding out that I have stomach pain and I don't know why that stomach pain is. And that's symptom aware. Problem aware is I know I have ulcers and that's why I have stomach pain. I don't know what's the solution to that. I don't know if there's a product available to help that, but I've bridged that gap. With usual lead magnets, they're targeting problem aware prospects. Like, take this 5-step checklist to fix your ulcer problem. It's
Hmm.
not diagnostic. So the diagnostic approach is why quizzes have such high opt-in rates. But then
Got
there's
it.
a
Okay.
third reason, and that's why we build the quizzes the way we build it, is because many people have seen that quizzes have great opt-ins, but it gets tire kickers in the back end because people are just not qualified. So to fix that problem, we started adding, because once you take like everyone has taken one health quiz from the internet, like from Instagram, stuff like that. What that does is that tells you a lot about, like, that asks you a lot of questions, but that doesn't tell you anything about the company or their unique IP or their unique processes. So we bake that within the quiz. Like, if we ask a question about one thing, then the next slide is proof of how we can solve that one thing, or how others have our clients have done that, or why our unique process is equipped to solve that one thing. So it's like a whole sales call where we ask a question and then you give an answer. You ask a question and then you give an answer within the quiz itself.
So it's conditional logic then, based on the answers, so that you can kind of guide them down that path.
Yeah, very conditional.
Okay, well that makes sense. So then it is a little, like you said, it's more strategic because now you're doing two things at once, right? You're getting their interest, but you're also qualifying them at the same time, so that by the end of the quiz, you could either show them a message that says, "Hey, doesn't seem like we're a good fit, but here's a resource," or "Hey, you know, this is what we found through the quiz. Hope it's helpful, but here's how we can help you. Here's how you book a call." Kind of guide them one way or the other.
Yeah. So we use quizzes on the front end, and recently we've started using webinars on the back end because quizzes perform the best on the front end and webinars perform the best on the back end. So webinar VSL depending on the price of the offer.
Yeah, well, and it makes sense if a quiz is a lower ask. It doesn't take as much commitment to do a quiz as it does to sign up for a webinar that's 30,
A
60
webinar.
minutes. So why not use the quiz to filter out the tire kickers and get just the interested, qualified people on the webinar to convert those ones? So that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's a little strategic from the ad costs point of view as well. A quiz lead costs are less than $1, or like around $1 or two. A webinar lead costs around $30. So it's like you're going 30 times cheaper with quizzes, but you're still getting the webinar leads on the back end.
Yeah, but now you're getting them on your email list after the quiz, and so then you can use that to get people on the webinar registration, I'm guessing, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you've also called, quiz funnels are clearly more than a lead magnet in that case, but you've called it an engine. Are there other misconceptions that people have around how you're using it? Because it sounds like people get confused between most quizzes and the ones that you are doing.
Yes. And the way why I call it like an ecosystem now rather than just a quiz, because we see what's working and it keeps getting evolved. Like, recently we had a project where we saw like emails had a 5% conversion rate and
Hmm.
LinkedIn DMs had a 25% conversion rate. So within the whole funnel, we added 7 DM me on LinkedIn triggers, like either adding a resource on the back end, so they have to
Hmm.
DM to get that resource, or either they have to ask a question and they get an answer within the DM. So we increased the DM touch points, and that had a significant amount of increase through sales. So we weren't very rigid that, oh, it has to follow the email protocol. For example, we worked with a clinic and they needed sale like phone calls. So then we directly tied it to like WhatsApp chat, and
Yeah.
like directly somebody gets on a call and gets WhatsApp chat. So the quiz is basically the engine that drives the traffic to wherever you want to lead that gets closest to the sale.
Right. But then you've got touch points in email, text message, LinkedIn DMs, whatever happens to make sense for that particular business. But yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So here's another question. How I think a lot of quizzes are surface level. What type of marketer are you? But uh, can you tell us about how you figure out what those questions should be that make it feel like I'm getting value at the same time, even though you are subtly qualifying me?
Yeah, so we have 6 types of conversion quizzes. The question depends on which type of conversion quiz you're using, and which type of conversion quiz depends on the messaging, the industry, um, the actual goal of the funnel. So if the goal of the funnel is just to drive buzz and awareness, that's where the personality quizzes have a place there. Like what's which personality type would suit these glasses on, like for e-commerce
Mm-hmm.
projects, for example. Or like currently we're working on a LinkedIn mastermind, and in there the audience is all 9 to 5ers. But the reason why they're signing up is because of them seeing themselves in different identities. So there's no competitor to this client because she's in Australia. There's nothing that we need to score them against. Once they're sold on themselves, they'll buy. So we need that's why the personality quiz is coming in. The second is diagnostic, and that's where the usual, like I recommend, if I'm speaking on a mastermind, I would go like that's easiest, go with a diagnostic quiz. So to answer your question, I'll use a diagnostic quiz example. So how it's different is you can ask, for example, let's take your business, Jeff. Like, um, is your website getting in projects or not? So if that's something that I want to ask, what is the first symptom that I want to get them to admit? That it's frustrating getting on sales calls and repeating the same thing again and again and again. So
Mm-hmm.
I would put that in the answer, and I would put all the frustrations in there in the answer, and then reverse engineer the question based on that. So that's where they admit that yes, I have the.
All right. Well, hearing you talk about it that way made me realize how powerful this can be because questions have always been a powerful way to connect with people. I mean, you look at Plato and Socrates, like the Socratic method is literally asking questions and you're getting the other person to say the thing. And so now it's either their idea or at least they're, like you said, admitting to it. And so you don't have to convince them. The walls are now down a little bit. And if you then have a follow up meeting with them, you can say, hey, in your quiz, you told us you're having this problem. Here's how we can help. So, okay, I'm seeing this more. This is great.
Yeah, so that's the symptom thing. Then after that, there would be a slide, like segmented slides. If they're saying they're tired of sales call, like say, repeating, so there would be a case study that would show that you've worked with someone who's tired with like repeating the same thing over the sales calls, and you build a website for them, and what's the zero to hero transformation. Then the second question in a diagnostic funnel would be where they admit, like, what's the repercussion of that? Like, what's the problem to that symptom? The problem is that they have to take 21 sales calls to close one client. And that means they don't have the bandwidth to invest in PR or YouTube or do all the other stuff. That
Mm-hmm.
means their business grows at a way slower pace than their competitors. So by admitting this, they've kind of admitted that I am the bottleneck. It's me. And the bottleneck is that why am I not finding solutions that would solve this problem? And then you'd have a slide again, and then you go like admitting that they're admitting that what's the goal, or what's keeping you, what's stopping you. So like, I don't know how to handle sales calls. I feel like my marketing needs some help. Whatever you want to make them admit.
Yeah.
And that comes from the reason why what we do is so successful, because we have a 2-week research sprint. So we exactly know, like interviews, surveys, we exactly know what they're saying. And that same language gets repeated in the question. And then you'd be like, I have a solution like yours. I've helped so many like others who are in this stage. And then you
Yeah.
gauge an interest question. Like you said, like, if I could help you eliminate sales calls or get way more qualified sales calls, or if your website could be your 24/7 salesperson on a scale of 1 to 10, like whatever you want to go add there, like
Yeah.
how ready are you to commit and start, and then adding a little bit more testimonials after that, or one slide of like why Jeff and why my website agency.
That makes sense. I mean, do you feel like people are more likely to admit those things to a quiz than to a person in a meeting, or on a phone call? I feel like that would be yes.
The thing is, we've not seen anyone, because it's pre-written answer, so they're not like
Mm-hmm.
writing it. It's already pre-written, and why it could be pre-written is because the research. So it
Yeah.
feels self, as you said, like the real thing is it feels like a referral where somebody else is talking you through, not the other person who's trying to sell.
Yeah.
So that's where it's effective. And the reason it's self-diagnostic. Like what
Mm-hmm.
I am having conversation with myself.
Yeah,
not the other person who's trying to sell to me.
makes sense. So here's another question then. So you mentioned earlier running ads to a quiz funnel, right? Is that the main way you get people into the quiz, or do you have other ways as well?
So we have four pillars: positioning, quiz funnel, and then the last two is sales and strategic partnerships. At the agency, I don't let my clients run ads until we get 1,000 organic quiz takers. And the
Okay.
reason why is anything that is not performing well on the organic side would not perform well on the paid side. So before we run traffic to it, I want to make sure that the backend conversions, the numbers make sense
Yeah.
for it to like run cold traffic to it. But we designed the quiz keeping cold traffic in mind. Like, what would someone who has no idea about the company feel when they go through something like this?
Okay. So is it based on organic social media posts then when you're telling people about this quiz?
So we have like seven different ways. One of them is LinkedIn Lives. Like all my clients launch their quizzes through LinkedIn Lives. And the ones who are like e-commerce companies and law firms, they launch through TikTok Lives. Anyway, like run like simple low-key live where you don't have to do like the whole webinar thing. And then there are other ways. So pitching on podcasts. I have podcast pitches in one document, and they go like, okay, because the messaging report is already there, now they have a unique point of view. So they pitch more because now the quiz is also ready. Then they speak inside companies. They speak on stages. Um, then they partner like joint venture partnerships where you and I have like similar audiences.
Hmm.
So we would exchange the quiz. I would do something for you, and you would push my quiz to
Right.
your
Okay.
audience, and then more and more speaking. So once you have a solid funnel, you know like, okay, now I just have to run traffic to it, and the pipeline would be sorted.
That makes sense. And you mentioned that the funnels retain 7 out of 10 people, which is really high. Um, I think so. Is it just a combination of all the factors that we've talked about that makes it so compelling? Um, I mean, what's your feeling on why that is? Because obviously a little bit higher makes sense, but that's crazy high.
So to be transparent, Jeff, that was our average when I updated that messaging. That has been updated a little. We've this year we've seen like this year my thinking advanced a little, where it's not just about the opt-ins, but it's I could get you 89% opt-in rate through a swipe file, right?
Hmm.
But it also has to balance on the back end. So we most of our quizzes range between 65% to 89%. But this year we've had one project which had an 11% opt-in rate. But the back end conversions were way high, so high. And this industry was typical sales industry.
Hmm.
And we were running traffic to the wrong audience as well. So there were a combination of things. But ideally in our optimization, like we also tried towards optimization. And I've seen that the good number is we can get people to that 70% mark, where if you're running 1,000 people on the landing page, you can expect 60 to 70% of people to convert to your email list at least, or SMS
Yeah.
list. And then the sales conversions average is like around 5% to 12%.
Well, yeah, and sales conversions could be very heavily dependent on the team and their script and their offer and all those things too.
No, like
So,
sorry, book like quiz to book a call conversion.
oh, okay, got it. Okay, good to know. Thank you for breaking that down. And it's good that you have all these stats because then you can look at this and know, like, hey, we're not doing something right. We got to figure it out instead of just, well, it worked for everybody else. I don't know why it's not working for you. And yeah.
On that note, Jeff, we build a feedback loop within the quiz. So through the funnel, every action someone takes or every inaction someone takes, there's a pop up one question survey. So if we know that, for example, like what was going on in your life and business that led you to take this quiz today, then there is like, okay, what's your job and offer or anything. Then there is a quiz like, what's the one thing you're expecting from this, from the results of this quiz. Such surveys across the funnel, so that if something is not working, we exactly know why, what messaging is off, what is somebody
Hmm.
saying, why this season. So whenever somebody asks like, okay, why is this email not converting, there's a reason to that. And that could be justified in the words of the customers.
Right. So you're collecting as much data as possible so you have insight into what's going wrong, and then you can fix it and get past that.
Optimize it.
Yeah. So here's a question for a lot of people listening. Maybe they haven't nailed their niche yet, or they're newer. When should they build a quiz? What things should they do first before they decide it's time to make a quiz funnel?
This is where people go like, Olivia, what? I don't recommend a startup to put energy into a quiz funnel. This is something that happens in the scaling stage when either you are, because if you only need a couple clients, you can get through get guest podcasting. This is where you're really like doubling down, or like multi six figures, seven figures, eight figures. That's where like you can't what got you here won't get you there, and you
Yeah.
need something more robust and little, like you can run a webinar and get five clients or four clients if that works for you. When you're really thinking about scaling, like that's why law firms and financial companies, that's where this usually fits in. But if you're at very early stages, and what I just outlined, just building a diagnostic, it could be as simple as a type form that when you send it before a call, it just gets you more good quality people on the call. So you're not like wasting time with tire kickers.
That makes sense. So yeah, just use it more as pre-qualification and data gathering rather than a full ecosystem like you're talking about at that stage.
It's hard to build a quiz, Jeff. Like they would spend like 8 months, and you can put that time in DMs on podcasts and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's talk about you and your business for a second. I mean, you built your business without a website. I assume maybe there were quizzes involved, but tell us about how did you do that, and what advice would you give to someone who is starting with no audience?
It was hard, a lot of elbow grease, and when it comes to websites, it's not something. Okay, so initial 2 years without a website was, I had a Google Doc sales page, and that was, so I had kind of like, it wasn't live, but I did have a landing page so that I'm not repeating the same thing over and over. And then the intention behind it is because I didn't know what I was doing. So if I had invested in branding website, it would make me like restricted. And then I would like, I spent $8,000 and now I can't change my niche because like I have to stick by this. So until I landed on quizzes, I got really sure, like definitely I'm not pivoting. And by this
Hmm.
time, it's like I don't want to pivot. So it's good that I can finally put money in this. And after you've actually got to a certain point, not having a website is not a smart decision. Like in the past year,
Yeah.
I've lost more than six figures because of not having a website. And it took us like I recently, like we were doing it in we were in early stages, so we outsourced the website. The copywriter was great, but it wasn't just the right time for us. Then we started doing
Hmm.
it in house. Obviously, because we were growing and we had a small team, anytime a new project came in, the website project pushed back, and whoever was free on the team would come and continue the website project. So until like recently, I realized like, no, definitely this is something. I wish we met sooner, Jeff.
Yeah.
So I got someone on board, and we are like, help me out, help me sort this. So website is definitely very, very important. The website is for people who know they want to get in touch. The quiz is for people who are, they don't know you,
Yeah.
but you want to convince them to work with you. So that's the two differentiation between a quiz and a website.
Got it. And I will say for people listening, yes, I personally, my advice is to have a website, even if it's not perfect yet, just to have a placeholder, kind of like what you did with the Google Doc. So even if you're just putting that information on your landing page, that's fine. A website's never done. You iterate on it, figure it out. And as you get more direction on your mission, then you can kind of lean into that. Because the best websites that I've built are for the companies that came to me already with a vision or a mission in mind, because it's so much easier to figure out what the copy should be, how it's going to resonate with their audience, what does the design align with that. And so I agree. In the early stages, yeah, less important. You got to figure a lot of things out. But once you kind of have a direction or a specialization, then yes, build up that website around that and allow that to shine. That's why it's another good reason to niche, right? Because now you have something specific to talk about that somebody's going to care about. It's not just generic, like, we're here, we've been in business this long, hire us. But it's actually, you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like I have some weird relationship with niching down. Like I haven't niched down. My business, like the service has niched down, but
Right.
we are industry agnostic. Like we work with law firms to e-commerce companies to like very weird, um, boring industries. Is because if the idea is that if you have a business online, if you have traffic, and if you have humans that are buying that, not robots, then this is something that would help. But like having your distinct point of view is very important, even if you're in a saturated category. That's what I believe
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Well, and niching your service down is still a form of niching, right? Because people come to you for that specific thing once they know, okay, they're problem aware. They know what, or maybe they're even solution aware. They're not sold on you, but they find out, oh, Alefia does quiz funnels like exclusively. I'd rather work with her than an agency that says we do SEO, we do this. Oh yeah, we can do quiz funnels, and like that's not their main focus. So it's not going to be as good as if they work with you.
That's why we don't do ads. Like I've lost projects because people come to us and say like, "Hey, Alifia, we need both of this." I'm like, "Do you know what it takes to be updated with Meta? Do you realize how hard it is? We can't keep up with the funnel stuff."
Yeah, no, there's a lot that goes into it. So it is. Would say it comes with entrepreneurial maturity. The longer you're in business, you realize, okay, I need to pull back some of these services. It's easy to keep saying, oh yeah, we can do that too, and add stuff on. I've been guilty of that in the past, but I've actually, especially this year, pulled back on a lot of those things, and I don't even promote them anymore. Don't offer them. It does make running your business a lot simpler and increases your chances of success because now you have a few things that you're really good at instead of a bunch of things that you're okay at.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like productization and even like the onboarding part, like it's just all sorted.
Yeah. So, by the way, if you guys can hear those sounds in the background, there's fireworks outside where Alefia is. There's a festival going on, so it's not a back alley with gunshots or anything. It's a celebration. I could only
Okay.
hear a few of them, but it was good. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show, Alefia. I know it's late for you right now, but this has been really interesting, and it's a nice detour from the typical digital marketing advice. I think we're able to kind of give a good broad picture of how a quiz funnel can work and who it's for, when it makes sense, and what it actually takes to create a good one. So people don't just run off and like make their own in 5 minutes and hope, and they're like, why I didn't get 70% conversions. Like there's a lot that goes into this. So a well-built quiz funnel is not a gimmick. But it can be a really smart piece of the puzzle in your marketing system if you're at the right stage. So for those of you listening, if you want to see what a high converting quiz funnel actually looks like, or you want help building one, check out Alefia's links in the show notes. You can even book a discovery call directly with her to map out what your quiz funnel could look like. And if you guys got value from this episode, please take a few seconds to leave a review on Apple or Spotify. Helps us keep bringing on incredible guests like Alefia to help you grow online. Any last thoughts before we go?
Thank you so much for having me, Jeff. One last thought is like if you have traffic, that's where when you should start thinking about something like a quiz funnel. And if you are planning to get traffic, especially then.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. That's a great thing to end on, guys. But that's it for today. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to Digital Dominance. If you enjoyed this episode, would you do me a big favor and leave a review? It really helps more service business owners discover the show, fix their websites, and grow their businesses the right way.